Hello friends, today we are going to study about chapter number 8, electrostatics. Study of charges at rest is basically called it as electrostatics. Half of a chapter we did in 11th class and remaining we will do it now. Can you recall what is electric flux? Yes, the total number of electric field lines passing a given area in a unit time is defined as the electric flux. The symbol for electric flux is phi and formula is E bar dot A bar, where E bar stands for electric field and A bar stands for area vector. By the formula you can see that there is a dot product between E bar and A bar. If there is a dot product, then you know that the dot product of two vector quantity is a scalar quantity. By this you can say that phi is a scalar quantity, means electric flux is a scalar quantity. Now you know the formula for a dot product A bar dot B bar is AB cos theta. Over here according to the formula the flux will be EA cos theta. What is theta? Theta is angle between area vector and electric field. What is electric vector? This is shown by E on the diagram. What is area vector? When we see area vector, suppose we have a surface and we draw a perpendicular to it, that will be called it as the area vector. Whichever we will having a surface, if we draw a perpendicular to it, that perpendicular will basically called it as area vector. The surface can be like this, then area vector will be perpendicular to it. If this area is just like this, then area vector will be perpendicular to this. By this we can say that simply the perpendicular drawn to the surface is basically called it as area vector. Therefore, but in a special case, it can happen that electric field is perpendicular to the surface. At that point of time, the angle between area vector and electric field is 0. Then what will be the formula? Phi is equal to E bar dot A bar is equal to EA cos of theta. But what is the value of theta over here? The value of theta is 0 and cos of 0 is 1. Therefore, it will be EA cos of 0, which will be EA only. Now by this we can say that the formula for electric flux is EA when the electric field is perpendicular to the surface. Do you know what is Gauss law, which you have studied in 11th class? The flux of the electric field through a closed surface is equal to the net charge enclosed by the surface divided by permittivity of free space. This is the formula. Phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught, where Q is the total number of charges enclosed by the closed surface and epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. One more formula, that is closed integral of E bar dot ds bar, which we have studied from electric flux. This equation number 1 is very important, which will we need further. Therefore, memorize it. Phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught is equal to closed integral E bar dot ds bar. This will be our equation number 1, which is important. Some important points regarding Gauss law. The first one, Gauss law gives the relationship between the electric charge and its electric field. Gauss law is analogous to Coulomb's law. Why it is analogous to Coulomb's law? Because in Coulomb's law we get the relationship between electric charge and electric field. Gauss law provides method for finding electric field intensity outside a closed surface. And we will use this application of Gauss law for finding electric field intensity outside a hollow sphere or infinitely long wire. Common steps involved in calculating electric field intensity by using Gauss theorem. These are what the five steps which are very important for finding electric field intensity outside a closed surface, and it will be remain same throughout. The first step is describe the surface distribution. Describe the charge distribution. This charge distribution can be linear, it can be surface, it can be volume. Linear means charge upon length. Surface means charge upon area. Volume means charge upon volume. According to the surfaces, there will be linear, surface or volume charge distribution. Obtain the flux by Gauss theorem. You know that what is the first equation? Phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught, where Q is the total charge enclosed by the body and epsilon naught is permittivity, and that will be our equation number A. Visualize a Gaussian surface and justify it. Gaussian surface will be different for different types of shapes. If we have a hollow sphere, for that we have a Gaussian surface as a concentric sphere around it. For different types of shapes, we have different types of Gaussian surface. With the electric field intensity E as unknown, obtain electric flux by calculating using geometry of the structure and symmetry of the Gaussian surface. Means according to the surface we have to find electric field with the help of electric flux, and this will be our equation number 2. But the important point to remember is structure and symmetry of the Gaussian surface. It will change according to the surface. Equate RHS of equation A and equation B and calculate E. Now, applications of Gauss law, which is very important. The first one is electric field intensity due to uniform charge spherical shell or hollow sphere. This will be the explanation of diagram. You can write in your words, but systematic way will be: consider a sphere of radius capital R with its center at O, charged to a uniform charge density sigma. The unit for surface charge density is coulomb per meter square, placed in a dielectric medium of permittivity epsilon. And you know the formula for epsilon, that is epsilon is equal to epsilon naught K, where epsilon naught is permittivity of free space and K is dielectric constant. Now this is the diagram. We have considered this sphere whose radius is capital R, which is the hollow sphere, which have uniform charge distribution around it. The total charge on the sphere is small q. Now we have to find electric field intensity at point P. For that, we have to consider a concentric sphere around the actual sphere, which is shown by dotted line. Now, since there is uniform charge distribution, electric field is perpendicular to the Gaussian surface. It is also perpendicular to the small area ds at point P. By this, what can we say? The angle between ds and E bar is 0. The total charge on the sphere will be Q is equal to sigma cross 4 pi r square, where sigma is charge distribution and the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r square. Therefore, we can say that the total charge is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square, where Q is the total charge inside the closed surface. This is what the detailed explanation of diagram. To find the electric field intensity at a point P at a distance small r from the center of the charged sphere, imagine a concentric Gaussian sphere of radius r passing through point P which will be an imaginary surface. Gaussian surface is imaginary surface which is used to find electric field intensity outside the closed charge surface. Let ds be a small area around point P on the Gaussian surface. Due to symmetry and spheres being concentric, the electric field at each point on the Gaussian surface has the same magnitude E and it is directed radially outward. By this what can we understand? That since it is uniform charge distribution, electric field will be constant everywhere. Also, the angle between the direction of E and the normal to the surface of the sphere ds is 0. This normal to the surface is nothing but what? Area vector. Now we have one more diagram for visualization. This blue one is the actual hollow sphere whose radius is capital R. We have to find electric field intensity at point P. Therefore, we have taken a small area around it which is represented as ds by yellow color. Since there is uniform charge distribution and the total charge on the surface is Q, the electric field lines are radially outwards. Therefore, it is perpendicular to the Gaussian surface as well as it is perpendicular to area ds. By this, what can we say? The angle between the area vector ds and E bar is 0. Therefore, cos of theta, what is theta? Angle between electric field and area vector, which is 0, and cos of 0 is 1. Therefore, E bar dot ds bar is equal to Es cos theta according to the formula of dot product is equal to E ds, since cos 0 is 1. Flux d phi through the area ds is E ds. This is the flux through the small area ds. Now we have to find the total electric flux through the Gaussian surface. And what will be the total surface? That will be the sphere. Okay. Now formula phi is equal to closed integral of E bar dot ds bar. Why we are finding integration over here? Because we have to find the flux through the whole surface. And what will be the surface of a sphere? That will be surface area of the sphere. Therefore, closed integral of E ds, since cos 0 is 1. Now we know that E is constant throughout the sphere. It is radially outwards. Therefore, we always take it out constant from integration. E is constant, therefore it is taken out and it will be E is equal to E closed integral ds. Now what will be the whole area? That with surface area of a sphere. What is surface area of a sphere? That is 4 pi r square. Therefore we have the formula as phi is equal to E 4 pi r square. This is equation number 2. From equation number 1 and equation number 2. This is our equation number 2. Which is our equation number 1? Which we have studied in Gauss law. Phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Comparing these two equations, we get Q upon epsilon naught is equal to E 4 pi r square. Now transpose 4 pi r square to left hand side. Therefore we have a newer formula. E is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square. This will be our equation number 3. Since the total charge Q is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square, put this value in above equation. Then it will be E is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square whole divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. See this, 4 pi is common in numerator as well as in denominator. 4 pi will get cancelled. We have a new formula which will be E is equal to sigma r square whole divided by epsilon naught r square. Once again, E is equal to sigma capital R square divided by epsilon naught small r square, where sigma is surface charge density, r is the radius of actual sphere, and small r is a radius of Gaussian surface, and epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. This is the formula for finding the electric field intensity outside a hollow charged sphere. Now we will consider from equation 3, it can be seen that the electric field at point outside the shell is the same as due to a point charge. By this, what can we say? We can say that electric field due to a hollow sphere or a point charge is same. Thus, it can be concluded that a uniform charge sphere is equivalent to a point charge at its center. Now we have to consider its cases. The first case is if the point P lies on the surface of the charge sphere, then what will happen? Now in this case, when the charge is actually on the surface, at that point of time, the radius of actual sphere and Gaussian surface will be same. By this, what can we say? We can say that small r is equal to capital R. Now we will put this value in above equations. Then therefore we can say that E is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught capital R square. Instead of small r, we have written capital R square. Now this can also be written as E is equal to sigma upon epsilon naught, because you know that Q upon 4 pi R square is sigma, which is surface charge density. By this we have two formulas. E is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught R square, or E is equal to sigma upon epsilon naught. Now case number 2. If the point P lies inside the sphere, since there are no charges inside, then surface charge density sigma is equal to 0, because we have charges on the surface. By this, what will be the electric field? That will be equal to 0, because 0 divided by anything is 0. Therefore electric field is equal to 0. Now we will consider about the second application of Gauss law. Electric field intensity due to an infinitely long straight charged wire. The explanation for the diagram is, consider a uniformly charged wire of infinite length having a constant linear charge density lambda, kept in a medium of permittivity epsilon. Now see this diagram. This is what the infinitely long straight wire. This is in the shape of a cylinder. The radius of actual wire is represented by capital R. Once again we have to use same steps over here. We have to find electric field intensity at point P, which is small r distance away from the center. Then now for finding the electric field intensity at point P, we have to assume a Gaussian surface. Previously the Gaussian surface is a sphere. Now over here we have a coaxial cylinder at point P, whose radius is small r and length is small l. Now since the charge is uniformly distributed, therefore the electric field is perpendicular to the small area ds around P. By this we can say that the angle between ds and E bar is 0. This is the detailed explanation of the diagram. To find the electric field intensity at P at a distance smaller from the charged wire, imagine a coaxial Gaussian cylinder of length L and radius smaller, closed at each end by plane caps normal to the axis. By this, passing through the point P. Consider a very small area ds at the point P on the Gaussian surface. We have seen small area around that point P, which is ds. By symmetry, the magnitude of the electric field will be same at all the points on the curved surface of the cylinder and will be directed radially outwards, which is similar to the previous one. Over here there is uniform charge distribution and symmetry. By this we can say that it will be perpendicular to the surface and radially outwards. The angle between the direction of E and the normal to the surface of the cylinder ds is 0. Therefore, cos theta, what is the value of theta? Angle between area vector and electric field is 0. Therefore, theta is 0. Cos of 0 is 1. Therefore, E bar dot ds bar is E ds cos theta and value of cos theta is 1 because cos of 0 is 1. Therefore, we have E ds. Flux d phi through the area ds is equal to E ds. Now we got the flux at the small area ds is E ds. Now we have to find the total flux through the whole Gaussian surface. For that, what we have to do? We have to take its integration. The total electric flux through the Gaussian surface phi is equal to closed integral E bar dot ds bar. We know that the value of E bar dot ds bar is E ds. Therefore, closed integral of E ds. Since E is constant due to symmetry, therefore we take it out. In integration, we always take it out constant outside the integration. Therefore, since E is constant, we have written outside equal to E closed integral of ds. Now, integral means summation of the whole surface. Now, in this cylinder, the whole surface will be the curved surface area of a cylinder. And the formula for the closed surface area of cylinder is 2 pi RL. Therefore, instead of closed integral of ds, we have written 2 pi RL. This is equation number 5. From equation number 1 and 5, which is the equation number 1? Which is Q upon epsilon naught according to Gauss theorem. Q upon epsilon naught is equal to E 2 pi RL. Since over here we have to consider linear charge density. Previously we have considered surface charge density. Over here we are using linear charge density, which is lambda. Lambda is equal to Q upon L. Then what is the value of Q? That will be lambda into L. Now put this value of Q in a Bow equation. It will be lambda L upon epsilon naught is equal to E 2 pi RL. Now see, L is constant on LHS as well as on RHS. Cancel L. We got E is equal to lambda upon 2 pi R epsilon naught. We transpose this 2 pi R to left hand side. Therefore, we got this formula, which is lambda upon 2 pi R epsilon naught. This will be our equation number 6. The direction of the electric field E is directed outward. If lambda is directed outward, lambda is positive, and inward if it is negative. By this we can say that if we have positively charged infinitely long wire in the shape of a cylinder, then the electric field is radially outward or in outward direction. But if we have a cylinder or infinitely long wire which is negatively charged, then electric field will be inwards. Direction of the field for two types of charges. First for positive, second for negative. For positive it will be outwards, for negative it will be inwards. Now the third application, electric field due to charged infinite plane sheet. The explanation same over here, the explanation of the diagram. Consider a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet with surface charge density sigma. By symmetry, electric field is perpendicular to plane sheet and directed outwards, having the same magnitude at a given distance on either sides of the sheet. Let P be the point at a distance small r from the sheet and E be the electric field at P. See this diagram and visualize it. It is charged infinite plane sheet. It makes a sense that it will move in upward direction, it will move in downward direction, as well as it will move in right hand side as well as left hand side. It will be moving infinitely. just like a line. We see that line moves in forward as well as backward direction. Just like this plane will also move in upward direction, downward direction, right hand side and left hand side. This is infinitely plane sheet. Now, the same thing, we have to find electric field at point P. Then we have to consider a Gaussian surface over here. The Gaussian surface is a cylinder which is perpendicular to the surface. The point P is small r distance away from the plane sheet. The electric field will be same at P and P dash, which is on both the sides of the plane sheet. Over here, the electric field is in outward direction. According to the diagram, you see that this is uniform charge distribution. Therefore, electric field will be perpendicular to the small area ds. By this, what can we say? The angle between ds and E bar is 0, since it is by symmetry and uniform charge distribution. Now there is detailed explanation of the diagram. To find the electric field due to a charged infinite plane sheet at P, we consider a Gaussian surface around P in the form of a cylinder having cross-sectional area capital A and length twice of r. Since we have seen the length r from one side and r to other side, the summation between or the addition between this r and r will be twice of r with its axis perpendicular to the plane sheet. The plane sheet passes through the middle of the length of the cylinder such that the ends of the cylinder end caps P and P dash are equidistant at a distance small r from the plane sheet. By symmetry, the electric field is at right angles to the end caps and away from the plane. Its magnitude is the same at P and P dash. Since there is uniform charge distribution and P dash are equidistant from the plane sheet, which is r on both the sides. Therefore, it will remain same. The flux passing through the curved surface is 0 as the electric field is tangential to the surface. You have to imagine this thing over here. When we see the electric field along the curved surface, at that point of time, the angle between the electric field and area vector will be 90 degree. And if we find the dot product between them, then the dot product will become 0. Therefore, we can say that electric field along the curved surface is 0. The total flux through the closed surface is given by phi is equal to closed integral of E bar dot ds P plus closed integral of E bar dot ds P dash. This is what the flux at cap P and at P dash, which will same at both the sides because distance is same and there is uniform charge distribution. And according to the formula, we know that it will be EA plus EA. Then phi is equal to twice of EA, which is equation number 7. If sigma is the surface charge density, then sigma is equal to Q upon A. Then what will be Q? That will be sigma A. Therefore, equation 1 can be written as phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. But over here, put the value of Q, which is sigma A. Therefore, phi is equal to sigma A upon epsilon naught, which is equation number 8. Previously, we have Q upon epsilon naught, but over here we put the value of Q, which is sigma A. From equation 7 and equation 8, we can say that twice of EA is equal to sigma A upon epsilon naught. Now see, A is common, which will be get cancelled and 2 will be transposed to right hand side. By this, what can we say? E is equal to sigma upon twice of epsilon naught. This will be the electric field due to infinite charged plane sheet. Now, what we have seen? We have seen 3 applications of Gauss theorem. The first one is electric field intensity due to uniform charge sphere shell or hollow sphere, whose electric field is E is equal to sigma r square upon epsilon naught small r square. The second application is electric field intensity due to an infinitely long straight charged wire, which is E is equal to lambda upon 2 pi r epsilon naught. The third application, electric field due to a charge infinite plane sheet, is E is equal to sigma upon twice of epsilon naught. By this, what we can say, that what can we conclude over here? This electric field intensity is directly proportional to the surface charge density or linear charge density. Means as charge density increases, electric field intensity always increasing, but it is inversely proportional to R. As R increases, electric field intensity decreases. These are what 3 important applications of Gauss law. Thank you.